This Thursday, November the 4th, we celebrate the feast of the important Catholic Reformation bishop, Charles Borromeo, who lived from 1538 to 1584. From an aristocratic and wealthy family in northern Italy, he was educated in Milan and Pavia and earned a doctorate in civil and canon law. He already entered the clerical state at age 12. Impressed by his nephew, at age 23, his uncle, Pope Pius IV, had him named cardinal at age 23. He shortly became Secretary of State and administrator of the Diocese of Milan, although he resided initially in Rome. Charles was an enthusiastic participant in the final session of the Council of Trent in 1562. He was active in its drafting of catechism and reform of liturgical books. The next year, determined to live a holier life, he was finally ordained a priest, and 2 months later was consecrated a bishop. At this time, it was not that unusual to have a diocese to administer without having been ordained a priest, much less a bishop. As papal legate for all of Italy, he convened a provincial council at Milan, which promulgated the reforms of the Council of Trent. And after the death of his uncle Pius IV in 1565, he received permission to reside in his diocese, becoming the first resident Archbishop of Milan in 80 years. And Milan was then the largest in Italy. Charles lived simply. He distributed to the poor much of his substantial revenue. He held other councils and synods, made regular visits to his parishes, reorganized the diocesan administration, established seminaries for the education of future priests, enforced standards of morality for his priests and clergy, and founded a confraternity to teach Christian doctrine to children. One biographer, described him as, quote, an austere, dedicated, humorless, and uncompromising personality, unquote. St. Charles' reforms were so energetic and far-reaching that some disgruntled members of the Humiliati, which was a lay movement originally founded to serve the poor, that had grown rich and lax itself, hired someone in 1569 to assassinate him in the cathedral in Milan. Cardinal Borromeo was only slightly wounded. This was considered a miracle, and the group was later suppressed. The next year, and again in 1576, Borromeo organized the feeding of thousands during a famine. Likewise, he took a personal role in the nursing of many others during a plague. A couple of years later, his cathedral canons refused to cooperate with some of his reform programs, and so Charles founded a society of diocesan priests to carry out his wishes. The society still exists as the Society of St. Ambrose and St. Charles, commonly known as the Ambrosians. In 1583, then, he was appointed apostolic visitor in Switzerland, where he sought to suppress Protestantism as he confronted followers of Calvin and Zwingli. Efforts to eliminate witchcraft and sorcery there led to the arrest of some 150 people, and 11 women and the local provost were condemned to be burned alive. His correspondence reveals an influential position during his lifetime. He gave pastoral attention to Edmund Campion and other English Catholics who fled to Italy to escape persecutions under Queen Elizabeth. Yet Borromeo's emblem is the Latin word humilitas, humility. Worn down by strenuous pastoral efforts on behalf of the renewal and reform of the Church, he died in Milan on November the 3rd, 1584, at age 46, and was buried in the cathedral. A following grew up immediately, and he was canonized within a few decades in 1610. Pope John the 23rd had a special devotion, and the future pontiff spent most of his scholarly life as a historian editing a 5-volume collection of Borromeo's writings connected with his pastoral visitations to the Pope's home diocese in Bergamo in 1575, described as, quote, a detailed account of the church life in the Renaissance, unquote. Another pope with special devotion to Borromeo was John Paul II. The former Karol Wojtyła was named for him, and during his pontificate, November the 4th was a national holiday for Vatican City-State. Thomas Halleck, a professor of sociology of religion at Charles University in Prague, writes with respect to Borromeo's special significance concerning the Catholic Church today. He writes, "The Church needs a profound reform. We need to take inspiration from the Catholic Reformation of the 16th century. Its essence was a deepening of spirituality throughout the Church. Think, for example, of the role played by mystics such as Teresa of Avila, John of the Cross, and Ignatius of Loyola. But this period also saw the emergence of a more pastoral style of episcopal and priestly minister. Think of Charles Borromeo and many others. Thus, it is not surprising that Charles Borromeo is patron of bishops, priests, seminarians, catechists. Here in the Washington Archdiocese are members of the priestly fraternity of the missionaries of St. Charles Borromeo. Just across the Potomac, there is St. Charles Borromeo Parish, and the Philadelphia Seminary is named in his honor. St. Charles Borromeo, pray for us.